This video is not about the quality of Overwatch 2's gameplay. While there's a lot to say about that and the changes they've made from Overwatch 1, that's not what I'm going to be speaking about here. This video is just about how they've decided to monetize Overwatch 2, specifically the move from a one-time purchase with minimal microtransactions that was present in the first game to the modern live service model of an in-game storefront and battle pass. Since Fortnite proved how insanely profitable the free-to-play model can be in 2017, every live service game has followed their example, introducing battle passes and in-game storefronts selling cosmetic items for currency bought with real money. Note cosmetic items in that sentence. It's very widely understood that you stay between those boundaries and don't sell anything that directly impacts gameplay, just changes the way it looks. Somehow the people working on Overwatch 2 did not get this memo and have decided to lock new characters behind the battle pass, which at the time of recording cost $10 of in-game currency. Thoughts on the live service / free-to-play model aside, the decision to lock gameplay-altering content behind microtransactions shows a clear disregard for the game's competitive integrity, or at least a serious misunderstanding of what made Overwatch 1 interesting and unique as a competitive game. Being able to swap characters on the fly is crucial to Overwatch's depth and identity as a competitive game, as it allows you to counter the enemy team's composition. Characters in the game are designed to directly counter some other characters, requiring players to learn unique skills to Overwatch, such as being competent at multiple characters and knowing which characters counter which. This adds a new layer of depth that goes beyond other hero shooters or MOBAs like Apex, Valorant, League, or Dota, since the player has to constantly reassess their character choice. Not having all characters available limits those options greatly, and while it may not be an issue when just Kiriko is unavailable, that being the most recent character added for the launch of Overwatch 2, as more characters are added and players who don't want to spend money have access to a smaller percentage of the character pool, it will quickly become one. This also serves to alienate players who wish to take a break from Overwatch and come back. I know lots of people who've been playing Overwatch since its release in 2016 and take breaks for long periods before returning and picking it up again. It's very likely these players would return to Overwatch 2, see that they have like 5+ new characters locked, and drop the game entirely. That might even be what happens to me. It forces players into a position where they're either in or out and have to consistently play Overwatch 2 without breaks to justify the purchase of new characters, especially since after 6 characters the game will far eclipse the price of a single purchase modern AAA release. There's also one more choice made surrounding the monetization of Overwatch 2 that I consider to be morally bankrupt, and that's the reselling of Overwatch 1 skins for real money on the in-game storefront. Skins that were made for Overwatch 1 and have been available for years for in-game currency, so you didn't need to spend real money on them, and now being sold on the in-game storefront in Overwatch 2 for real money. This point is much more subjective, and it matters how you personally feel about it, but for me, looking at this, I can't help but feel an air of disrespect towards the player, especially those who have been playing from the start. This point also ties into my very serious speculation about these decisions that I'll go into later in the video. But first, I want to discuss the possible reasons why this is happening. The team working on Overwatch, Team 4, have expanded to be 3 times the size between the launch of Overwatch 1 in 2016 and now, going from a team of 100 to a team of 300. Too many people's opinions, more livelihoods on the line. It's possible that these decisions were made from a place of ignorance and a genuine misunderstanding of what made the first game so interesting, rather than malicious intent. We have seen this time and time again, with games especially, how clear visions of what a game will become get muddled when too many people are involved.
We do a little trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling.
If you've been following Overwatch for a long time, you'll probably already know about Jeff Kaplan, the game director for Overwatch 1 since 2016, and his departure from Blizzard in April of 2021. He was replaced by Aaron Keller, who was a member of the original Team 4 and the assistant game director when Jeff was there. I would say it's unlikely that this is something he spearheaded, since he was clearly on board from the start. As a side note, he also had a large part in the creation of the map King's Row, which I and many others consider to be one of the best maps in the game. And this is more of a personal point, but I find it hard to believe that someone who worked on a map that's so solidly in line with the original philosophy of Overwatch would also be the one pushing for such clearly negative change. What's most likely, though, is that higher-ups at Blizzard, seeing the diminishing player numbers and revenue of Overwatch 1, pressured Team 4 into a more heavy-handed approach to monetization. This thought makes me very angry, and it's also where we move more into the realm of speculation. And here I'll outline what I genuinely think the plan for Overwatch 2 is, and why I think it's destined to fail. Overwatch 2 is at a peak of players right now, with old players returning and new players trying it out for the first time. But Overwatch 2 is not considerably different from Overwatch 1. In fact, it's so similar, it's essentially the same game. And because of this lack of substantial change, I think it would be a reasonable assumption to say that there'll be a sharp drop in player count in around 2 to 4 months' time. The reasons I think this are twofold. One, the very low concurrent player counts of Overwatch 1 leading up to the release of Overwatch 2. And two, the dwindling popularity of the Overwatch League, Overwatch's esports scene. I think Blizzard are very aware of this, and they're trying to squeeze as much money as possible out of Overwatch before that sharp drop in player numbers, so they're using any tactic available to do so. I think Overwatch 2's monetization system is specifically designed to target new free-to-play players. By offering such a large chunk of content, that being the new character, for a relatively low price, they're strongly incentivizing a first purchase from free-to-play players. And from enormous amounts of data collected on consumer behavior, I'll link relevant articles and papers in the description, we know that around 20 to 40% of those players will go on to make a second purchase, and the percentage of those that will make a third and fourth purchase is even higher. This is where the old skins being resold on the in-game storefront comes in. Instead of paying lots of money for an expensive artist to make new skins for the game, Blizzard saw the opportunity to repurpose old skins to fill their in-game storefront, creating products available for that ever-essential second, third, and fourth purchase with little to no cost. Their entire system is designed to maximize profit margins and drain the free-to-play player base of their money before the player count falls off a cliff and Overwatch returns to relative obscurity. After all this, I can't help but conclude that Overwatch 2 is being set up to fail by an unfeeling, profit-hungry corporation that seeks to squeeze out every last drop of money they can from the franchise before servers inevitably close. And you don't have to look very far to already see this happening. The return of the Overwatch League has seen a massive drop in viewership in the short period it's been running, and I can't help but feel that the player count for Overwatch 2 will follow suit.